I, 28 female, think my husband, 33 male, might have only married me to take care of him and his kids. I met my now husband when I was 26. We dated for a year before getting engaged, 4-month engagement, and married. He told me he had kids on our first date, which I was a little nervous about as I'm child-free. As we got closer and more serious, I wasn't too worried about the kids as he did a really good job parenting them and being responsible. He also told me that he didn't have papers, which didn't bother me because I personally think the whole US immigration system is up, and I've known many people who spent years getting their papers situated. Anyway, everything went really well while we were dating. He took excellent care of the kids, cooked so I would have dinner after school and work. I'm in grad school and at the time worked a part-time job, kept his house clean, the whole 9 yards. We also went on dates frequently. He would buy me flowers, get me wine or drinks, listen to my rants and excited stories about grad school, pay attention to my likes, and agree whenever I'd say my cat or snake were so cute. However, things started to change after we got married and I moved in. I quit my part-time job since we could live on his salary and my assistantship salary. He wanted to start a business, so I ended up starting the business in my name given his citizenship status. I ended up doing most of the work to get the paperwork going, which I brushed off a bit because of all the personal information, like social security number and whatnot. And since I quit my part-time job, I now do all of the administrative work for his business, like tax prep, payroll, sending invoices, paying services, etc. So essentially, I quit my part-time job and gained another one. The longer we've been married, the more things seem to be going in a different direction. Now he throws a fit if I ask for help cleaning the house or other inside chores, claiming he works so hard during the day and does some yard work. I always remind him that I work too and always help with the outside chores. He always gets silent, but nothing ever changes. He stopped taking me on dates unless I specifically asked to go out. He stopped buying me flowers, wines, drinks, etc. He stopped cooking unless he doesn't want what I have cooked or we have family coming over. And worst of all, he stopped becoming the responsible parent that does things with and for his kids. Keep in mind that all of this has happened slowly over time and gotten exceptionally worse since we bought and moved into a house. I feel used. Plus, over time, he's acting more and more like he's entitled to my body, stating things like, "I bought you," and "but we're married." Yuck. When I tell him those things are inappropriate, he always says he's joking, to which I say it's not funny. He also stopped caring about what I have to say. He doesn't listen to my rants or excitements anymore. When I say my cat or snake did something cute, he just says, "It's just a cat," which is not what he used to do. Anyway, it feels like I'm being used and it just keeps getting worse. And there's a small chance I might be pregnant. I need to buy a new test, which further complicates the matter. Is he using me or is this just what it means to be a wife? Would I be wrong if I gave my dentist a written statement to help defend him against my friend who was trying to sue him? I, 55 female, have a friend Jean of similar age. She's not what I'd call a close friend, but I've known her for a long time. She's the type of person who always thinks she's right and won't back down easily from anything. A few months ago, she had a toothache and asked me which dentist I used. My dentist is so amazing, so I recommended him. She has a dental phobia and asked me to go with her to her appointment. He was lovely to her, spent a long time talking to her, explaining everything, put her at ease. She had a big abscess under one of her back teeth. He said it either needed a root canal and a crown or extracting. The root canal/crown would be best part of $1,000 total, and he was really clear to her that it was a big abscess and there was no guarantee the root canal would work. He actually said the odds were 50-50 and it might be better to extract the tooth and put the money towards an implant or a bridge instead. He said he could offer no form of guarantee or refund if problems happened. He was clear in what he said, and I know she heard him and understood that the odds weren't great. She decided to go ahead with the treatment. I went with her to one of her further appointments, but not all of them. Fast forward a few months. Everything was okay initially after the root canal and crown, but then she got another infection. She had antibiotics, but the problem persisted and she ended up having the tooth removed. She is livid. You think he was the worst person in the world from what she says about him. She wants to sue him and has been to a lawyer to get advice. She is claiming that she wasn't properly warned and that treatment may not work. Apparently, the lawyer is confident she'll get a payout. He's told her that it'll be hard for him to prove he properly warned her and that dentists are insured for this stuff. They think his insurance will pay out because it won't be worth their time to try and defend it. I'm really annoyed at her for this because I know she is lying about not being warned. I really like the dentist and feel awful for him that he faces legal action for this, and that I was the one who introduced her to him. I worry that it will reflect badly on me in his eyes when I see him in the future. I have argued with her about it because I witnessed him warning her, but she says it's none of my business. Her view is it doesn't hurt him because he'll have insurance. Like I said, she doesn't back down from things. I feel so strongly about this that I want to send a written statement to the dentist that he can use back against her. I would state that I witnessed the appointment when he warned her and that she clearly heard and understood what he said. I know that doing so, I would probably lose her as a friend, but to be honest, I don't care about that at this point. My husband thinks I should do it. He's never liked Jean. He describes her as a nightmare and thinks I'm best off without her as a friend. So, would I be the asshole if I did this?
Am I wrong for telling my wife to stop being a pushover, or I would take all her spending privileges? So my wife, 25 of 5 years, has a sister, 20. She's somewhat disabled and has a condition that makes working difficult but not impossible unless she's under a lot of stress. It's a neurological condition that causes her to lose muscle control, makes her hit and throw stuff or fall over. Now, I have no issue with her sister. I think she's sweet and nice to have around, and more than anything, my wife loves her. She basically raised her and stepped in when her parents wouldn't or couldn't, and this caused a relationship closer to mother-daughter. My wife would constantly be paying for her stuff, and this made sense to me when she was a minor and was doing worse health-wise. Recently, though, it's been increasingly getting under my skin. I'm the sole provider for my household right now since my wife was pregnant and only gave birth recently. We'd spend a lot of money to buy her sister's gifts for holidays, which she never returned the favor, even with something cheap with thought or no thought put into them. Am I wrong for telling my wife to stop being a pushover, or I would take her spending privileges? We'd always take her to events or to dinner, and we'd pay for her every single time. She'd never even pick up the bill. Again, it wasn't entirely an issue until she became an adult, and now I'm fed up. She expects my sister to do things like pay for her to go to the doctor or invites us to lunch and then expects us to pay. She also doesn't schedule her own appointments, my wife does, and also takes her anywhere she wants to go even though we live 45 minutes away. And she always talks about freelancing and is making money, but then somehow has no money whenever she wants or needs something. I did feel my wife was being a pushover, but ultimately it was her money until recently. Now she's spending my money on her and it's getting me angry. I want to spend my money on my daughter, but we're spending money on this financially irresponsible leech. We got in a fight and I said I would take away her access to our joint bank account until she contributes if she doesn't tell her sister to grow up. Am I wrong for refusing a gift that requires me to drive 3.5 hours to get? My 28, father 65 is a very my way or the highway type of person. He always means well, but sometimes it can come off kind of harsh. So my son, 1 year old, just had a birthday, and one item on our wish list was a bike trailer. One that hooks on the back of a bike and he can sit in while I ride. Think Beethoven bag from the St. Bernard movies. This is also his way of trying to get me to exercise since I obviously put on baby weight and he doesn't want to come right out and say it. The only downside is it would require a 3.5 hour trip to collect and I would have to take my son with me, so it doesn't sound appealing. So I asked if maybe the gentleman could meet me halfway and my father called me selfish. Am I wrong for refusing a gift that requires me to drive 3.5 hours to get? So I asked if possibly the gentleman could meet me halfway and my father called me selfish and ungrateful. So I returned the money my dad sent me and told him it's not a gift that I need immediately and would rather wait until one closer presents itself. Now my sister said I'm not in the wrong since the whole afternoon would be an adventure with the baby and it's a lot of work, but the other set of grandparents said it's a minor inconvenience for a nice gift. So am I wrong? Edited to add that yes, I asked for the gift originally, but it wasn't high on my list. Commenters say if the other grandparents think it's a minor inconvenience, ask them to go pick it up. And another one says, wait, I don't have to buy gifts anymore? I can just respond to ads on Facebook and tell people to go pick it up themselves? Or better yet, I can just tell people what store sells the thing they want and tell them to go buy it themselves. Am I wrong for making my dad's fiancé cry? My father, 54 male, and his fiancée, 30 female, have been together for about 6 years, and when they first got together, I, 17 male, was still living at home. She moved in about a month into their relationship, and I didn't have an issue with her at first until she actually tried to mother me. And I'm not talking about giving me advice or being a supportive role model, more like giving me a 9 o'clock curfew and cleaning up after her dog that has an accident. Every time I bring it up to my dad, he'd just say, just try, for me. Needless to say, I moved out soon after. Fast forward to a week ago, my dad invites me over for dinner out of nowhere as we hadn't spoken in quite some time. I hesitantly accepted and spent the following few days trying to prepare myself for what they were going to say. I show up with a bottle of wine in hand, anxious out of my mind, and the night goes on for a few hours, exchanging small talk until I can't take it anymore and ask why they invited me. That's when my dad tells me they're getting married and he wants me to be the best man. Am I wrong for making my dad's fiancé cry? That's when my dad told me they were getting married and wanted me to be his best man. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed real hard and this turned into his fiancé crying because she thinks I don't like her. And you know what? I told her that was correct. It should also be said that given the option between me or his fiancé, my dad would choose her in a heartbeat. For example, I went on a 2-day camping trip and had a spot in the garage for my car when I left. Of course she had it when I got back until I moved out, and I only really care about that because of the hail damage. It's also very important to note that she comes from a Christian family, and if her parents found out about the situation, she'd be especially shunned. So I guess the biggest issue is her keeping us a secret. Top comment says, not wrong, I'll never understand parents who don't take into account their children when dating and moving someone else in. And a response to that comment is that his dad is thinking with his you know what.